in.
I'm Lainey.
And I'm Laura Beth. And we are Steel Magnolias, two sisters who love family, traditions, and all things Southern.
We've got plenty of room at our table, so pull up a chair.
Hey, Lainey.
Hi, Laura Beth.
You have some wonderfulness covered in foil over there.
Girl, I got 2 presents today from friends. One from actually one of our listeners, Marianne, brought me a whole pan of her cornbread.
And you're going to share.
That I'm going to share
Thank
with
you.
But it is somewhat famous cornbread.
Did we share her recipe?
We shared her recipe.
Okay.
So I got that this morning.
It's beautifully golden.
And later in the day, I was delivered from one of my new next door neighbors. I have 2 next door two new neighbors.
2 new neighbors,
on either
yeah.
side. A good, beautiful thing of smoked pulled pork.
It is so good. I just had a little nibble. And after one bite, you said, I can't do that. I don't even know how to do that.
It is so good.
It was tasty, and I had no sauce on it. No sauce needed.
That I don't know how to make it like that. I didn't mean I don't know how to eat just one bite. What did you think I meant when I said
No, I knew what you meant. I knew you meant I don't know how to make it taste that good is what I took that to mean.
So good.
Yeah.
So, I just got tickled, though, because I thought, I definitely live in the South. I've been delivered a pan of cornbread and pulled pork.
That's what I was going to say. And it's just covered in foil. You really, when you have something that good, presentation is
packaging, not bring over
necessary.
In foil.
Exactly.
Though the pork did have a lovely, bow and everything on it.
Yeah.
But, so good.
Well, everyone's spending time with family and having probably the last of their vacation days they're spending for a while. So we have a fun episode to talk about today. I did want to let everybody know that this is going to be our last episode for this year, for 2019. We're going to take 2 weeks off to have some much needed rest and recuperation and ramp up for 2020 podcast topics. But
you're going to get some true relaxation too. You have a wonderful Wheel of Fortune trip to take.
I'll be cashing in on my Pat Sajak sponsored trip to Hawaii. And I wanted to also mention that if you listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts and you use Echo-enabled devices like anything with the girl name Alexa, I'm not going to say it because a lot of times you guys are listening on speaker and that's going to wake her up. But you know who you are. You can just say, hey, her name, play Steel Magnolias podcast. And it will pull it now from Apple Podcasts. So
that's so helpful.
I mean, that's for any podcast now. If it's available via Apple Podcasts, you can listen on any of your Echo devices. So some of you have been waiting for that, I know, because you listen in your kitchen or in your home. And so that's very helpful. So, well, we can jump in.
Let's jump in to our 2020.
2020 is here, or it's coming fast.
It's right upon us.
It's such a grandiose year, right?
New decade. Not just new year, new decade.
And 2020 vision, and it's.
I had somebody say that to me, and I hadn't even put that together. She was like, 2020 vision for 2020, and I was like,
that's what I've been thinking about. I was like, every ad is going to say, we've envisioned this year. I just felt like everybody was going to play up on that word and that sentiment.
And now I just did it. So, well.
It's fun to go ahead and look forward, but
it is.
We wanted to talk about some of the ways that we're doing that, and I'm going to bring in a little bit of Southernness to it and talk about even some Southern traditions that I want to bring in to 2020.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, you really do have to be intentional to pause.
That's what I was going to say. Is I think intentionality is a must in really for every area of our life to be successful.
Yeah.
And since we're here at the end of 2019, I think it's important to reflect back on what worked this year, what didn't.
Yeah.
What do we need to see change in?
Yeah.
What seems to be tracking pretty good, all of that.
Yeah. I heard somebody say just recently, just because you flip the calendar and it's a new year doesn't really make things new.
Well, that's true.
I mean,
there is a beauty to that freshness of it being blank, if you will.
Yeah.
Like the new calendar being blank.
Yes.
But we can fill it or not fill it
Yeah.
differently or the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's important to look at, what worked, what didn't, and all of that.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I'm a traditionalist, if that's even a thing or a adjective to describe someone. So I'm super change adverse.
yeah. Oh gosh. me too.
So I don't usually enter a new year like with audacious goals of,
Do you write like a literal resolution?
not really.
I'm not usually one that does that either. I do kind of try to have like a highlighted something that I'm, be that a word or two or something that something
Yeah.
like that, but not a like specific resolution.
Like, here's what I'm
now
going
I do
for.
try to kind of set some goals
Yeah. Yeah.
in different ways, but
Yeah. Well,
so this will be interesting to talk about.
it's funny. I feel like, but with saying that I'm a traditionalist and that I'm not audacious in setting goals, I have come to realize that being traditional is audacious.
Oh my goodness, in this culture for sure.
So that's why it was kind of easy for me to come up with some Southern traditions.
That you want to see
That
more
I wanna
of
see.
in your 2020.
Yeah, yeah. So
Well, do you want to start there? Or do
sure,
you- okay.
sure. I'll give one, and then you can kind of
Okay.
intersperse some of your ideas as well. But yeah, I mean, number one is still hospitality for me, because I think it's something that you can always learn and grow in.
Yeah, and you definitely have to be intentional about that. It's not just going to happen.
Yeah. So I'm really thankful that I do have a home that I can open up to others. Mm-hmm. But I've said it on the episodes here before. It's small. I can only seat about 4 to 5 adults comfortably in my living room. Mm-hmm. And to me, a gathering in my home is more like 10 to 12.
And you're also like me in the sense of it helps when there's good weather and you can be outside.
So that's what I'm excited about for 2020. We bought outdoor furniture. That was our Christmas gift to each other.
Okay.
It's still in the boxes. It hasn't even been put together. But come spring and summer, we're going to really maximize the space that we have, which is mostly outdoors, and be able to host gatherings and
That's
comfortably
gonna be fun.
seat people in a way that I feel good about.
Good.
So, yeah.
Okay,
So those
I'll
are
expect for some outdoor invites.
and yeah, so those are in boxes in my garage, but it's coming. So
That's fun.
yeah, that was something we just were like, let's just do it. We've had some chairs that have been falling apart for a while, so we did the new outdoor furniture. So until then, until spring, I was thinking about, okay, so I can still be hospitable on the go. Like, how can hospitality be mobile,
Love
if
it.
you will?
I love it.
And so I was thinking, okay, well, clearly if you're in someone else's home, you can be hospitable because you can help, right? You can
True.
help them set the table if you're over for a meal, or you can help them clean up even if you've just had coffee together. Like, there's different things where you can
Bring something with.
bring something with you to contribute. And I just think even being hospitable, like let's say you're meeting someone out for coffee or for a meal or something. So really neither one of you are hosting per se, but you're kind of hosting each other's presence.
True.
Presence, not the word gift, but like your beings.
Yeah, yeah.
And so you can come with good questions or come with curiosities or show concern or care, those sorts of things.
So good.
So that's my hospitality on the go, or hospitality being mobile in today's.
And I think that's just
culture.
being a good friend, too.
Well, sure.
Do you ever leave from a time with somebody and they didn't ask you anything? They just...
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
feels very one-sided.
Right.
So, yeah, I think that's just being a good friend, too.
So up in my hospitality game is on my list for for 2020.
I love it. Well,
Yeah.
you're good at it. So
Well, thank you.
I'm glad that you feel like you need to improve, but I think that that's a great goal.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I kind of jotted down just areas that.
Okay.
Hi, Libby. Libby's.
Oh, Libby's
shaking,
here,
giving us a
our
shake.
Springer Spaniel co-host.
So I was just writing down like areas in my life where I want to kind of do the reflection on
That's good.
and where I want to see, growth. So I wrote down my heart, my home, my body, my budget, my relationships.
That's good.
Those were the areas. So, I mean, in regards to my heart, I think it's wise to just look back and kind of look at like, is there any unforgiveness I need to deal with?
Yeah.
Any, places of anger or resentment, anything I need to deal with.
Yep.
With God.
Yeah.
What do I need
Yeah.
to do to get healthy in that
Do a little
way?
inventory.
Yeah. Because I don't want to go into a new year holding on to negative things from the past.
Sure.
So that was kind of what I meant when I
That's good.
wrote my heart.
That's good.
Um,
Were there 5? Heart?
I put heart, home, body, budget, relationships. So
Okay.
that was 5.
Yeah.
And that was just kind of something over coffee that I jotted down as I was thinking
That's
through
good.
the places.
Yeah.
And this is not in a particular order.
Yeah.
Well, I do think heart kind of touches all
It does
of it.
kind of
so
need to be addressed first, actually.
that
Yeah.
one kind of is
That's
the
a good
most
one.
important. But then after that, I'm not saying that these are of specific importance, but in regards to relationships, I wrote down with God, and then after that, marriage, and then friendships. I'm not married, so that's not applicable to me. But I think that's just the areas I was thinking, where do I need to see growth in my relationship with God? What needs to be tended in a marriage? What do you want to see? Maybe goal setting or things that need improvement in the area of marriage. And then with friendships, you have to do that too.
Yeah.
Again, so they're not one-sided or
Yeah.
not growing. You
Yeah.
want to see growth in those places. Now, with that, that kind of opens up a whole thing of things you have to look at in regards to, how you spend time with people. And sometimes I know in regards to friendships, there can be people that you want more time with, but they don't have the time to offer. Be that
Yep.
with their work life or their family life or just whatever. There's many reasons.
Yeah.
And so that can be kind of a difficult place.
Can't offer, just don't offer. I
Yeah.
mean, they're kind of both present. So it's just,
Yeah. So, tending all of those things. I'm not saying I have all the answers on how to do all of that well, but
Yeah.
I do think we have to be intentional.
Well, and I mean, friendships, some have their seasons. Some are short, some are long term.
Yeah.
And so you do have to kind of go, okay, has this friendship served its purpose in my life? Is
Yeah.
maybe it's on pause, maybe it has fully served its purpose?
Yeah. Sometimes I think, as of late for me, I've had several that I thought were not seasonal,
Right, that we're lifelong.
that I thought were lifelong, but they're like on pause or they're
Yeah,
definitely not growing.
right.
And that's difficult. Like, that's been a place of pain for me. But other ones, I know it's just the season of life the person's in, that they have a lot going on with their family or a lot going on, at work or both.
Yeah.
And so in those scenarios,
Yeah.
it really is not an intentional thing on the other person's behalf, but that they just literally
Yeah.
don't have the time to give.
It's funny too that we can get, I feel like, in like routines of even our friendships. Like, let's say you're sitting down to plan a dinner party or plan a get together or even plan your own birthday, let's say. And you're like, I would invite this person, and it's like,
Should I invite
is
that
that,
person?
am I just
still?
inviting them because I've done last year's birthday with
Yeah.
them or the last dinner party I hosted? This was the same group.
So
Or
this is exactly what I'm talking about.
am I actually in friendship with them? Like, I feel like there's this one Christmas party I always get invited to, and it's lovely, but I'm always just kind of like, I mean, thank you. this is very kind of you to invite me, but this is kind of the only time we see each other each year. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to be the one to, if I'm invited, then I feel like it's a very kind thing to go. But I do think it's kind of funny to go.
So I am snickering because I have an actual funny story about this.
Okay.
When I used to live in Atlanta, one of my good friends there, Sarah, she and her husband Robbie always hosted a fish fry.
Yeah.
It was always this big thing they did after Robbie had gone on a fishing trip.
So good. Fish fry.
So we had the fish fry. Well, there was people, these were all Sarah and Robbie's friends that would come. And some of those people I literally only saw
at the fish fry.
Right.
Yeah.
And so somebody used the phrase, "Oh, we're fish fry friends." And it was so funny because they were putting to words what we all have.
What is
in our
what I'm
life
describing right now?
You have, it's just a
I
Christmas
only
party
see that
thing.
person at that event or in that occasion. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's exactly what I'm saying is it's okay to reevaluate.
Right.
What do I want this year's birthday to look like?
Exactly.
What do I want this year's
Yeah. Bible study or
Right.
book club or
Right. Who do I want
Yeah.
to participate with? I went on a mission trip this summer, and one of the couples on that mission trip, we got talking, and the couple and I were talking about perhaps doing a gathering with 2 other couples. And just doing, so it would be three married couples and me, a breakfast one Saturday a month was what this guy was
cool.
offering. He was like,
Put it into regular place.
yeah, and he wanted it to be here at my house.
Yeah.
So he was asking me, would you host it?
Because he knows you cook well.
And a Saturday breakfast would be good for me, is what he was saying.
Yeah.
Which that's not always great for me. But anyway, I did not put that into play this year.
Yeah.
But I want to in the future. And I think that this would be a good group
Oh, sweet.
to be together.
Yes.
And he was thinking we could just do breakfast
You would thrive in this.
and then pray together.
Yeah.
And I think that could be really fun.
You would love that. Yes.
So that is one of the things that I told myself, okay, this year I want to try to make that happen.
Yeah.
And that's just a once a
That's
month.
awesome and a breakfast is usually not too difficult to prepare food-wise.
Right.
And also not very long to consume.
Right.
And so you can visit a lot.
Yeah.
Which I know is something that you would enjoy with that
So-
group of people.
That is something I'm thinking
That's
about.
cool.
Putting into place. And, once a month is not that big of a commitment for a breakfast.
Right.
It would be.
You could move to quarterly if it feels like too much. But yeah. Or every other month.
Yeah, so I'm already trying to think like this. I haven't done my formal, okay, what, one of the questions I like to ask, now I'm pretty deep in my faith with God, and so one of the things I try to do is actually give the Lord some room, and I say, Lord, what do you want me to say yes to this year, and what do you want me to say no to?
That's a good question. Actually, it's 2 good questions.
Because when you give something a yes, you're giving other things a no.
Yep.
So I do try to give him room to speak, not
Right.
just
Not just
do I
what the
want?
goals are from your perspective. Yeah.
And sometimes he'll put something on your heart that's not necessarily something you want to put a lot of time
Yeah.
into,
Yeah.
but you're called
but you're
to.
feeling like now's the time.
Yeah, and it always ends up being a blessing in some form or fashion.
Yeah.
if he's calling you to do it. So anyway, the breakfast once a month is one thing I've already come up with, and I'll have more work to do in thinking through.
Well,
Others.
speaking of food, I am on the hunt for a new go-to casserole. Now, let me give you the qualifications that this go-to casserole needs to fit.
Okay.
So, again, as we're reflecting on the year that has now come to its close, everybody can say there was some really wonderful moments, there was some really trying moments, and there was some really sad moments. And I have, in my inbox, I have right now 4 meal trains, right?
Wow.
So sign up for a
Take a meal to this
group
family.
of people that's going to, one day a week or however the consistency is going to be, take a meal to this occasion. Now, those 4 are moms that have just recently given birth.
Wow.
So there are 4 families that are sitting in my inbox that could use a meal. There's 2 moms that come to mind a lot right now because they buried a child this year.
Whew.
And I don't even know what to do for them a lot of times. But I do know that food can be comforting, especially a casserole. So not making light of either of those scenarios,
gosh.
but just knowing that there is a lot of need to have a go-to casserole, right? Whether
That's
it be
true.
for life or death or just struggles or whatever, everything.
Because
in
it's
between.
taking at least one thing off of the plate. It's not saying that this is...
Exactly.
It's just taking one thing off their plate.
Yeah. So I am on the hunt, and I'm going on record to say there has got to be a gluten-free, dairy-free, yummy-tasting casserole that is easy enough for me to make, that I can make my go-to, that I can learn well enough that I know the
It's easy to
ingredients
do.
by
Okay.
heart. You know, I can quickly do the inventory in my head of what I'd need if I'm just running by the store, you know, to not have to, like, go to a spice shop or, you know, like
Okay,
do
well, I
all
already
the
have
things.
a question. So you're saying a casserole... Are you wanting this to be like a one...
I think...
like the whole... This is the meal.
I think that would be easiest for me.
As in, like, a
and for
lasagna
transporting,
or a-
because I would want it to be something I'm taking, because it's not something I'm planning as my go-to to serve at my house.
Right.
Although I might like to if I like it a
But
lot.
my question is, you don't want like a...
I don't want-
casserole that's a side to this and this.
Right.
You're
No,
wanting
I
a
want
one
this as a meal.
Okay.
So, yeah, I just think, you know, food nourishes our bodies and
Yeah.
our soul. And so, I'm just a huge fan of, the reason I have those 4 inboxes is because I'm on the meal team at
Right,
church. Like,
right.
that's a place I like to
serve. Yeah.
And it's something I can do with my time.
That is a very
And so, anyway,
sweet way to show some love.
that's a goal and resolution I plan to come up with in the very near future of 2020.
Well, I'm going to side note as a massage therapist also say I have occasionally had people get a gift certificate for somebody who's lost a child,
Yeah.
had to bury a child, and I hold that very sacredly because it's like, whoa, it's a way to love on that person.
Yeah.
But I do think that's a sweet way too. I'm not saying you even need
Right.
to do that and
Yeah.
use me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I do think a massage or something like that is a really sweet way to love on a person
Yes.
too.
Yeah.
It's a total
And a
side
service.
note
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah.
So I say gluten-free and dairy-free because there's so many allergen
Now.
sensitivities.
Yeah.
I would like, even if this family or this person doesn't eat that way,
You've
that-
got it as your
at least
thing.
they don't
It's
have
your
to worry
thing.
about if there's gluten or not. Because it's a gluten-free or if there's dairy. So those are the 2 things I would like it to have are no gluten and no dairy.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll have some listeners that will say, I've
Yeah.
got it. I've got your thing.
Calling all casserole connoisseurs.
I love that.
Bring it.
And the next category I'll do is home. For
Okay.
your home.
Okay.
Now, obviously, this would be for homeowners.
Right.
You're,
If you rent.
there's a beauty to renting.
Yes, there
There
is.
is. You call the person for the broken garbage disposal. You call the person for
Get
the
on over here.
toilet overflow.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for the homeowners, all of that's on you. And I find it very daunting.
Yeah.
Just,
I know.
I can't keep up.
Yeah.
I don't even have children, but just with running a business, having a podcast, you know, just life,
Yeah.
ministry stuff, like all of that. It's like, oh my gosh, you are kidding. It's already time to change the air filter again. And,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
So I found this calendar. It's a month by month calendar that lists things out that you need to do
I see this.
for the home.
Wow.
And I actually like that it's month by month because some things are time sensitive. If
And
it's about
seasonal,
your
yeah.
HVAC or
Yeah.
about your garden or
Absolutely.
that kind of thing.
You don't need to be worrying about it in gardens in January. And-
yeah, so it gives you, you know, for instance, in January, it's going to include cleaning your stove and oven, checking the charge on your fire extinguisher, having your HVAC vacuumed and dusted.
Wow.
Or you doing it. Just things like that, February,
These are like
March.
pro ownership tips.
And so I'm going to take this list. Some of them may not be applicable for me.
Yeah.
But some of the things I'm going to put on the calendar. Like,
good for you. Yeah.
do that this month.
Yeah.
I just think it'll be
Yeah, because
helpful.
for you, you're calendar driven, so that works for you. Somebody else
helps
could just
me.
put it on the fridge and be like, it's January. I want to
What
check
all
this
do I
off.
need to do?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I
that's
love it.
something I'm going to try to implement for the home.
I love it.
And as everyone that listens on a regular basis knows, after Christmas, I am going back into the Marie Kondo
Hey.
cleaning.
Which means I'll be getting more texts of, is this
you want
yours? Do you
this?
want this? Does this spark joy? Oh my gosh. I cannot even believe. How many books did you take to the public library? Was it like 300?
It was 11 boxes, so it probably equaled, because I'm sure each box had.
It was the Franklin West Public Library that
my
Lainey just
gosh.
opened. Yeah.
So yeah, I've done clothing and books. So next up will be paper,
Okay.
which will include all owner's manuals and credit card statements. And
I'd
just
actually
all
much rather go
paper.
through that kind of stuff than clothing or books.
Well, the one I'm most overwhelmed by is the next category after that, which she calls kimono, which is just miscellaneous. So it's all bathroom, all kitchen. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I'll be curious as to how that goes because the question you're supposed to ask a lot of times is, does this spark joy?
Yeah.
Right. So I do wonder, when you're looking at cleaning supplies or paint or,
well, some things it is going to be different, like
masking tape, like,
maybe, but it's not going to spark joy if it's not sticky anymore because it's so old or it's not functional.
yeah. So I'll wonder, like, if there's more.
And with the kimono, she does still, even though that's one lump category, she does break it down into, I forget, like 10 different. You start with, all electrical, all things real electrical.
Okay.
Like it does break down.
It's
just
organized
a little bit.
even.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that'll be home related.
Wow.
That's why I mentioned that is purging, organizing,
Yeah.
and trying to have a good calendar of maintenance.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm going to be doing in that area.
Go, Marie.
Oh.
Okay, let's see. I have told you all how I'm going to be more southernly hospitality driven. I'm going to have a better casserole when I sign up for meal trains. I'm very excited about a new Bible study that I'm going to be joining in February. So I do encourage everyone to get that book or that study or that subject matter or whatever that place is to learn something
to
new.
grow. Yep.
Love it when we get to do those sorts of things in community with one another.
Is that something in your neighborhood?
No, it's actually at a mom's Bible study that I had been in before that this church stopped doing. It's not even our church that we're a part of, but it's at a different church.
Okay.
They stopped doing it because they couldn't get enough childcare workers. So I don't know if they've just recruited heavily and gotten enough to start it back up again.
Okay.
Because they provide childcare, which
Nice.
makes it
That's
glorious.
huge.
So,
Yeah, if you're going to be a mom's group, you need childcare.
That's right. And so it's like a 6 or 7 week study that'll start in February.
That's awesome.
So when I saw the email that they were starting it back up,
Do you know what
I
you're
was
studying?
like, yes.
Yeah.
No, and that's the
Okay.
thing that's so funny is I enjoyed the last 2 sessions so much that I don't even really care what we study.
That's great.
I just know it's going to be good.
So I have not figured out what next Bible study I'm going to do. That's on my radar.
Yeah.
As is, for being a massage therapist, we have to do continuing education
Right.
hours. So I've got to map out what I'm going to take this
to pick
year.
classes.
As what classes I'm going to take. So that's another area that I'll be
Yeah.
doing a little investigation. Well, another area that is important to kind of do a survey of and make plans for is your body.
Yep.
This tent we live in.
Yes.
I am having to think about a foot surgery I'm going to have.
Yep.
So I actually changed insurance, and I'll be changing insurance in January. with preparation of having to do a surgery that I don't want to do, but
You kind of
my
have
body's
to.
screaming that I have to.
Yeah.
So that's on my radar. I didn't want to make it a priority, but my
Right.
body is saying this is
We
the
have to have
priority.
this. Yeah.
So sometimes we have to look at the year ahead with things like that. And also just mapping out what preventative things you're going to do
That's good.
to
Yeah.
care for your body.
Yeah. Not just reactive. That's good.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
and one area of your life affects another. So, I was
Absolutely.
thinking, the next one I was going to talk about was budget, but all of those touch each other.
They
So
do. What are
the
you going to do for?
Healthcare is going to be a bigger budget piece than I want it to be this upcoming year,
I
but
know.
that's how it goes sometimes.
What are you thinking towards budget?
Well, I was just thinking, there again, you got to be intentional. So you can't hit any goals of any kind if you don't even look at it.
Right.
So for me, the main thing I'm going to have to do is look at the healthcare piece,
Yeah.
at least this year,
Yeah.
being a priority.
Yeah.
And then some other things I'll have to give under that,
Yeah.
so there may not be the room for travel and some of the other things I would like this year. 'Cause
Right.
I have to put the other things ahead of it. I saw a doctor in March and he said, we need to do surgery on this or it's only going to get worse.
Yeah.
Well, I left there going, what if it doesn't get worse? Maybe it won't get worse.
Right.
Maybe I'll be the one that
Maybe I'll be the show up.
it doesn't
Show the
get
impossible.
worse. And I do believe in miracles.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes that happens, and I did ask for that. But it hasn't happened yet miraculously. So and it is actually getting worse.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm taking their wisdom. I'm going to get a second opinion just because I haven't done that. But I'm going to do that surgery. But the thing that was super difficult about it was it's 8 weeks non-weight bearing.
Oh my gosh.
Or at least that's what this first opinion told me. So we'll see if that's what the second opinion person tells me as well.
Yeah.
But that's overwhelming.
To take that much time off work.
Yeah.
Unpaid.
So, yeah, because I'm self-employed. So
Right.
that means there's no sick leave or
No.
vacation days or anything.
No.
So, but I have to do it.
Yeah.
So we'll just trust the Lord will provide, and
Yeah.
maybe I can sow more time into Steel Magnolias
true.
during
You
that
can
time and
Do some writing and
help
recording.
more.
And
Yeah.
Well, what else would you say for 2020?
I'm just hopeful that, again, just in plugging along in the things that we feel like we're supposed to do, that good things will come
Yep.
from that.
Yep. Well, and since we're a Southern podcast, maybe there's some Southern traditions that you've heard us talk about here that you want to incorporate into your 2020, or maybe
That's
there's a
right.
Southern event that we've
Yeah.
mentioned. We've talked about the Kentucky Derby on here. Maybe you want to make the trek to,
That's right. Or one of the bluegrass festivals or something like that we mentioned. You may want to make that be a priority of
Yeah.
the travel that you do this year.
Yeah.
Or a particular city if you want to make sure you see Charleston this year. Whatever.
I do. I didn't get there this year, so I want to make sure and get there next year.
I want us to do the Food and Wine Festival in Charleston
Ooh,
sometime.
all right. That sounds fun. Is that in April?
It is, I feel like it's later, I can't remember.
Okay. Well, whatever your 2020 desires are, I do hope you'll take a second to take that mental check and either write it down or just acknowledge it for yourself and share it with a friend or your family, and ring in 2020 with hopeful joy of what
That's
is to
right.
come. We don't know what's to come, and we've seen a lot of frailty with life this year.
We
so
sure have.
we can't say it enough. As much as we do say it, it just still seems like it's not enough. But we sure are thankful for you, and
We are.
thankful that you choose to spend some time with us each week. So
We appreciate you and hug the people you love. too.
yes, Happy New Year, and we will see you in 2020.